Welcome to Card Players The Circuit with your super host, Scott Huff, WPT Player of the Year, Gavin Smith, and Barry Greenstein's son, Joe Sebok.
Welcome to The Circuit, everyone. Card Players Radio Show. We are broadcasting on Sports Byline Radio on Sirius Channel 122 on cardplayer.com and on the iTunes Music Store as a podcast. Scott Huff, Gavin Smith, and Joe Sebok here at the Bellagio.
I don't like that
Vegas,
intro.
Nevada.
Barry Greenstein's son?
I don't like that intro.
Why not?
Oh, I don't know. Because it takes my balls and puts them in a jar.
The intro does. We'll talk to our voiceover expert. She decided to do that one on her own. We have a great show for everybody today. We're going to have our typical stuff here. Hand of the day, phone calls, which if you want to call in, hear yourself on satellite radio, call in 6 p.m. Pacific time each night. Also, we're going to have some of your emails and a very special guest, the Flying Dutchman, Marcel Luske. Kind of made his name in the World Series of Poker, wouldn't you guys say? As far as America goes, that's where people first got acquainted with Marcel, was his World Series coverage.
Sure. Yeah. But he doesn't. It's totally ridiculous because he can't fly.
That's true. That's such a ridiculous thing. I mean, he can't fly, and he's not Dutch.
Oh, yeah, well, he is Dutch. He can't fly. Yeah,
he might be able to fly.
As I said, we are broadcasting from the Bellagio, and I just wanted to make note. Now that we're doing Scott's little Bellagio tale of the day, like I saw Jordan last night, 2 nights ago at Fix. Last night, I actually went to see Bellagio's hit show, the Cirque du Soleil show. My girlfriend's in town. Mm-hmm. As many of you know, I pretty much do anything she asks me to do all the time. Right. So we went to last night. It's a Cirque du Soleil show. Unbelievable show.
Right.
The stage, I think, is pretty much what takes the show there for me.
It's
though.
Amazing.
I don't one way or the other. You know, people who can twist their legs up over their heads and all that. That's cool. But the show's like, I mean, the stage is just ridiculous. Right. They dive like 50 feet, splash down through, and then they somehow end up like sitting in the seat next to you. It's pretty unbelievable stuff. You should check it out if you get a chance to come down here.
Oh, absolutely. It's
people at home.
And it's the first time that you've ever taken your girlfriend to see correct?
Is it the first time?
Is it
the first time, Scott?
I don't know how this is going to pass the possible censors out there, so I'm just going to say yes, guys. It's the first time I've taken her to see.
I truly believe, though, if it's the first time, she's probably going to want to go see it again and again.
Probably. I would. Especially, I'm sure it was a thrilling experience being the first time and all.
Everyone else should check it out as well. All right. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about how the last couple of days have been going for you guys? I think congratulations are in order for one, Gavin J. Smith.
It's M.
I just took a shot in the dark. All right. I wasn't too far off. Gavin M. Smith. Gavin M. Smith, $500,000 mansion poker free roll. You won it.
I did. I won that.
You won $500,000 for first place.
I won 500,000 big ones.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, and it was really fun. It was a really cool concept. I mean, the speed poker is great. It was enjoyable to play, and of course, it's always nice to get a little extra money.
Tell us a little bit more about that. How exactly did the final table? It was an interesting format at the final table, other than just speed poker. How did it go down, and who was there with you?
It was myself. We had 3 pros and 3 amateurs there, and it was myself, Todd Brunson, and John Gale were the pros, and the 3 amateurs. His names were Andrew. I think it was Andrew Stoll. I think it was Joe Isaacson and Scott Gardner, The pros started with 50,000 in chips, and the amateurs started with 70,000 in chips. And the blinds started at 1 and 200. They were 20-minute levels, which is pretty good. 20-minute levels isn't bad in speed poker because you're getting so many more hands. So there was quite a bit of play at the table, and it all turned out really well. And Scott Gardner from Lincolnshire, England, he came second, and it was actually the very first time he'd ever played live poker.
Okay.
And he did really well. He had fantastic composure. And right when we got into the money, he had to take his time out so he could compose himself a little bit, because it was really a big deal to him. I mean, it was, he told me beforehand, he goes, even third place would be a life-changing amount of money for me.
Wow.
And
how much was third?
200,000.
200.
And so he got 300,000 for second.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. I mean, it was a life-changing amount of money for him. He's a super nice guy. So it turned out to be really good. I felt really bad for Andrew and Joe because they both played very well. They got coached by Kenna James and Tony G, and Mike Grotz coached Scott Gardner, and those guys did a good job. They gave these guys a game plan that allowed them to compete. And Andrew got unlucky when Todd made a run flush with ace king against his 2 queens, and Joe just got really unlucky and got cold decked when he picked up 2 queens, and John Gale happened to have 2 kings. So I mean, they did good.
And when can they check it out? Do you know when the?
It'll be aired on Fox Sports on July the 12th at 6 p.m. Pacific.
And you can see Gavin Smith having far the worst of it all day, and yet still beating up on
Well, that's
people.
what my boys told me. Like Eric came and watched the program. They could see the whole cards live, and they said that I had by far the worst starting cards at the table. But I feel like I played really well. I made laydowns when I had to make them. I made moves when I had to make them, and I really felt I was really in control of that table.
And I'm going to say that you can learn more about how to play Gavin Smith's style of poker when Smith on Poker comes out. It's going to be released by 2+2 Publishing, and it's going to have the opposite of everything you've ever read about poker. I'll be releasing that book in the next couple of days.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you really want to know how Gavin Smith plays and you watch his show, you're going to see a lot about how I actually play because they're going to show every hand.
Wow. How about that, folks?
I believe.
If you want to learn how to play like the maniac himself, Gavin Smith. Joe, you're over there in Dark City with Kiefer Sutherland. And
No, I'm okay.
So what's going on? Joe had a bad day. He's taking one down. You take a sad song and you turn it around. What's going on over there?
I swear to God, I'll stab you.
All right, well, what's the deal? What happened today? You had a rough day. Obviously, you didn't last long in the $5,000 no limit. Walk us through some of the mistakes maybe you made today.
No, I just didn't play well. It was the first tournament that I felt that I didn't play well, so I'm a little disappointed. I didn't get a lot of sleep due to factors out of my control. And I was just a little irritated about that. And unfortunately, I think I took it to the table. And I just didn't play well. So I have no one to blame but myself. So I'm blaming myself in my dark hole.
So you have to learn how to do, right? You want to get better. You got to blame yourself sometimes. Any one play that really stands out at this point that turned the tides to you just having a go?
Yeah, no, I think it was a play where I lost all my chips.
Okay, what would that play be?
No, I think I got bluffed out of. We started with 5,000 chips. I think I got bluffed out of about half my stack. And I think I just kind of out-thought myself due to being kind of tired. You know, sometimes you don't go with your gut, and my gut told me to call. And I kind of out-thought myself out of calling. And then I was a little irritated. The guy started mouthing off. He started yapping about how, you know, he said how he didn't have any outs at all, and, you know, how he got me to fold and all this kind of junk. And I think he kind of bugged me a little more than
I'll bet you money he did not bluff you.
I don't know if he did or not.
Guys don't say that when they actually bluffed you.
Yeah.
I bet you had.
You're not going to tell us the hand, are you?
I bet you had you drawn dead. I bet you were drawn dead.
Yeah, I may have been drawn dead. But anyways, I laid that down, and then I played another very questionable hand where, you know, I decided to bluff. I had the button, and there were three players. Both of them checked to me. I took a bet, you know, took a stab. And then I kind of was in a position with so little chips where I either had to move in on the turn or just let it go. And, you know, I moved in, and the guy had me drawing stone dead on the river.
How about your day? How about your day, Gavin?
Well, I arrived 15 minutes late because I ended up doing a little celebrating last night. And I was sitting with a bunch of friends at my table. So when I got there, the two guys on either side of me were sort of spacing themselves out into my space a little bit. So I said to them, you know, give me some space, effers. And
but he didn't say effers.
I didn't say effers. I actually said the whole word. And the floor man took a little bit of an issue with that and gave me a 10-minute penalty. So I only played 35 minutes of the first level, and I tripled up. And then I did not make the second level because I bluffed all my chips off.
Right. So both of you got involved in some bluffing situations today.
I'm also a little bugged because I almost cashed in the limit event, which I think I already covered, and we would have been just about even in our bet. Right now you have a kind of a negligible lead, but we would have been even. Close.
Well, now it's on to World Series of Poker News.
Where can we find out?
You can find out right here on World Series of Poker News. It is the news about the World Series of Poker.
That's so weak.
It is so weak.
We got to come up with something better.
Now, Gavin, you weren't here last night. You were too busy winning to be involved in our first player of the day. A lot of people have expressed wanting to know more about some of the players on the circuit and their playing styles. So I'm going to give you guys a minute here to discuss the play of one Jonathan Hotel Jawanda.
Interesting. It's funny that you bring up Johnny. I was playing with Thor Hansen the other day at the short limit event. We were talking about John, and he told me that he calls John Spook Wanda.
Yeah, he is a bit of a spook.
He's a bit of a spook. Because every time
what does that mean exactly? Some people might be taking that the wrong way.
No, it means every time John seems to need a card, it goes, and it's there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's spooky, and it's like you see something
like Casper,
that you
the friendly ghost to John, but the unfriendly ghost.
Exactly.
The specter of death for the rest of the people.
My opinion on John is that he's probably the best pre-flop player in the game. He's got just an incredible knack for knowing when people are weak and for knowing when they're not, and he gets in there and he'll steal so many pots from people when he knows that they just can't call. And he's tremendous at playing before the flop. He's also great after the flop. I mean, he's a great player, but he's really, really, really good pre-flop.
Yeah, I think, I mean, everybody loves John's game. I think one thing, it's very well documented that he takes a lot of time to make his decisions. And I made a very, very costly error at the last Foxwoods event. Yeah, where just by virtue of the fact that John called a hand quickly, should have tipped me off that, as to what he had, because I was hoping he was on some kind of draw, but the bottom line is for John to call, it's going to take him a little while to make a decision about what he wants to do if he's in a situation like that. And he did not. He called very quickly, and which should have let me let the hand go, but I didn't. And so I kind of dropped the ball on that one. But that's actually one thing that you can look for with John is how long he spends on different hands that can tip you off a little bit.
All right, in further World Series of Poker news here, the $2,000 no-limit hold'em Mark Voss, a friend of
did we get a
Full Tilt.
bracelet for that? I think we do.
No, he's not part of the team.
He's a
in
friend
red.
of Full Tilt.
He's in red.
He's a friend of Full
it's not.
Tilt.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's
hold on.
members plus something.
Ray First isn't a member of Team Full Tilt. He's just a friend of Full Tilt, right?
No, I understand. But what I'm saying is I think Mark is just one of the guys that's like, oh, you made a final table, wear our hat. I don't think that
no,
counts.
I don't think
No. He came in wearing the jersey to the beginning of the day.
I think he's a pro on the site. I think he's red on the site.
I think you guys are on it way.
Well, then we definitely do. Although I'm a little sick about it because Nam finished second, who's one of my best friends.
Well, I was trying to get through that. 803,000 for Mark, and Nam Lee in second, a friend of yours.
Right.
I don't have exactly what he earned here. Do you know what he won?
401,000.
401,000.
Yeah, Mark made about 800, and Nam made about 400 grand, and Nam was just sick about it.
Well, he's got the WPT title, but the bracelet seems to mean more to everybody. So,
well, no, I don't know if it means more. I mean, you don't like finishing second,
right?
And
exactly.
Nam is one of these competitive guys. I mean, he's just competitive as any of us. So it stings. It hurts. He was real unhappy with how he played. After it, I felt real bad for him.
Carlos Mortensen, his second final table of this World Series, but yet again out early in ninth after having his 2 sevens beat by the ace 9 of I forget the young lady.
Vanessa.
Vanessa, that's right, Vanessa Selps, I believe is her last name. The $3,000 limit hold'em final table was started today. Henry Wynn started with $325,000. Carlo Lopez with $212,000 in third, and Jeffrey Lissandro with $120,000. The $2,000 Omaha 8 better still alive and among the chip leaders: Andy Block, Daniel Negreanu, Sean Chacon, Brandon Adams, Huck Seed, David Levy, and John Jawanda. And in the $5,000 no limit hold'em was 622 total players today for over $3 million in prize money. First place will be paying $818,000. Big time.
I wanted to win that.
Yeah, among the early chip leaders, Michael Mizrachi, Greg Raymer, Scotty Wynn, Marcel Luske, who will be on the program very shortly, Mimi Tran, Dutch Boyd, and Phil Hellmuth. Now it's time for our hand of the day.
Nice hand, sir.
This one involves Tuan Lee and an unknown player. So seat 9 limps, and Tuan Lee checks his big blind option to see a flop of Jack 8 deuce. We're assuming now the seat 9 was then leading out the entire way, or was first act, so he had to be the small blind. So seat 9 then bets 1,000 after the flop of Jack 8 deuce, and Lee calls. The 9 dropped on the turn, seat 9 checked, and then Lee checked behind. The 8 came on the river, seat 9 checked. Lee bet 1,400, and after considering for several minutes, seat 9 called and showed Jack 10 for 2 pair. Lee shows ace deuce and drops to 5,000.
Interesting.
So what's the point of this hand? That seems pretty standard. There was no raise pre-flop. Right. Tuan called with ace deuce on the flop. He could easily have the best hand, might not. Thinks he can play off it later.
I probably would have. Yeah, I probably would have. If I was Tuan, I probably would have just checked it down on the river if the guy checked it to me. But he made a pair. I mean, when you're playing blind against blind, a pair's a. I
don't know why the Jack 10 took so long to call.
Yeah, there's certainly nothing to think about, especially with Tuan. So that guy, knucklehead. I don't know what he's thinking about. But I think the only thing I would say was probably a mistake was Tuan trying to value bet his deuce after the guy already called.
Think he was value betting, or think he thought he was bluffing? I don't think he was value betting.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's probably bluffing rather than value. I don't think he thought he had the best hand. I think he probably knew that was the only way to win it. But at that point, the pot it wasn't that big. So, I probably just would have. Well, no, that's not true. He bet 1,000, 1,000, 2,000. So it's probably about before the river bet. No, it's probably like 2,300 or something like that.
Well, the board's Jack 8, deuce 9, 8. It does seem like it would be really. Why wouldn't the guy call very quickly with the Jack 10, right? I mean,
right. He would. Yeah, I have no idea what
minutes.
I have no idea what he was thinking about. There's nothing to think about, especially with an overly aggressive opponent like Tuan. So I don't know. Maybe we'll ask Tuan tomorrow because
do
he's
you think
be
people
here.
give too much credence to someone being in the blind, and they come up playing the game and 2-4 hold'em, right? Everywhere everyone starts in low limits most of the time, and it's like, oh, big blind special, so they got to have hit that 8, or they have to have hit some sort of freak straight there or whatever it is. So do you think that maybe people give a little too afraid of what someone's holding in the blind and don't bet into it enough?
I think it's actually the opposite. I think people lose a lot of money in the blinds because they never believe that the other person could have hit a hand. They always convince themselves that it couldn't possibly happen. So I think it's actually the opposite of what you're saying.
Excellent. Well, I'd love to be wrong. I can be wrong a little bit more after this commercial break on The Circuit.
How does $10 in free poker cash sound? It's easy at vcpoker.com. Just log on, sign up, and get $10 free to start playing a wide range of games, including Hold'em. vcpoker.com makes it easy with the latest software, and your payments and payouts are always safe and secure at vcpoker.com. With 60 years of gaming excellence, vcpoker.com is a company you can trust. Sign up now for your free $10. Log on to vcpoker.com/free35 and get your money for nothing and your chips for free.
Hey, this is Lane Plack, and you're listening to The Circuit.
Welcome back to the Circuit Radio Extravaganza. We are broadcasting on Sports Byline Radio on Sirius Channel 122, on cardplayer.com, and on the iTunes Music Store as a podcast. Scott Huff, Gavin Smith, and Joe Sebok at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, Nevada.
It's an extravaganza.
It's an extravaganza. So much so that people actually write us emails and want to talk to us. God knows why, but here's the first one.
Hey guys, this is Mike from Missouri. I was just calling to ask you guys a question. It's actually a question for Scott, Joe, and Gavin. Hey, did you guys know that everything's currently 50% off at the Card Player store? That's right, everything you could possibly want, from decks of cards to poker chip sets to T-shirts to hats to the World Series of Poker program, all 50% off. If you want to check it out, go to cardplayer.com and click on Poker Store. I guess that wasn't so much a question as it was a statement, but check it out anyway. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Mike from Missouri.
Mike.
Actually, matter of fact, I did know that.
I'm going to check it out. I did not know that. Thanks for calling, Mike.
When are we going to have Gavin Smith and Joe Sebok autographed sweatshirts and stuff up on the Card Player store? So
well, I tell you what, you'll have a Joe Sebok autographed sweatshirt when someone will purchase a Joe Sebok autographed sweatshirt.
I'd buy it.
Which I don't think would happen right now.
I would buy it.
I'll be like your parents were back in the. I'd buy it. When you gave me the ashtray for Father's Day, I'd be like, yeah, good. I would buy the Joe Sebok autographed sweatshirt.
I would totally buy a Sebok original.
Can we agree that if there's ever Joe Sebok merchandise on the Card Player store, that as long as it's 50% off, that the two of us will go in and buy all of it up to stroke his ego a little bit, so there's any more bad days.
I don't think it's going to stroke my ego to know that all of my autographed merchandise was purchased by two of my best friends.
Didn't you wear that sweatshirt yesterday, Scott? No, Joe. Actually, I have 92 of them.
Exactly. I don't think it's gonna make me feel good. It'll be like if if I had a girlfriend, if she went out and bought all my stuff, I would just feel like more of a loser.
All right. Well, we'll try not to do that to you when the Joe Sebok autographed sweatshirts apparently end up in the store. All right. Good. Next phone call.
Hi, this is Alan from South Florida. I had a question for Gavin, Joe, Scott. With the horse event happening this year, do you think maybe next year they should branch out to another type of mixed game, such as one consisting of pot limit Omaha, no limit, and maybe deuce to 7 triple draw? I thought this would be a great way because all three are action games with high stakes. Do you think that would be a good comparable game along with horse because it's only limit? Good luck in the World Series of Poker and have a nice night.
It sounds like that. It sounds like that guy needs to take his meds or something.
Oh, that's really. You love to just. What is your deal? You Oh man.
I don't think a game like that would go. I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be a game that's already sort of regularly spread somewhere else that people want to play, and I just don't think. I don't think pot limit is going to be in the mix of a mixed game tournament. But it'd be kind of cool, I guess.
I think with all these different variations.
Sure doesn't even want you to answer now, by the way, that you just got him a new one.
Who doesn't want me to answer?
I'm sure.
I want to apologize.
I'm
sorry. Let me apologize. I'm having a very bad day.
Yeah, someone else needs some meds.
I want to apologize. It's
certainly not the guy who just called in. That guy is cool. Sebok's the one.
I completely apologize. Yes. I just wanted to say, eventually, with all these different variations, it's kind of the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, it's just an issue of what games you like and what games you want mixed in. And, sometimes you have action games with action games. Sometimes you want some action, some slower action. So I think it just kind of depends on what is popular and what people like to play. So there probably will be more variations that come into being, put together and played as time goes on. So I'm very sorry for saying that about you. I'm sure that you don't take meds, and I need them. So if you have, actually send me your meds, because bad things are going on in my head.
I think that it would actually, I like the idea. It's a creative kid. I like that. I think it would be fun to have all those action games and watch you maniacs get in there. Make it like a $100,000 buy-in action tournament and include other games, like the Crazy Pineapple guy that wanted that in the World Series.
Like, I think we could add like Crazy Pineapple and like Jacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that, yeah.
All right, well, we now have some emails to read. I think they're more like fan mails. This one is from Robert Warnock. It says, "Hey, Scott, thank you so much for reading my question. It literally sent chills down my spine."
Wow.
He goes on to say, "I let my roommates listen to the broadcast, and the result was overwhelming. Before, my poker playing was always looked at in such a negative light. After listening, they really changed their views on my favorite game. So thanks for deciding to read my question. It's helped me in ways more than I ever imagined. Wow. Thanks again. P.S. Would Gavin ever take a prop bet on a drinking competition? I would love to take him on if ever possible."
Wow.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah. Also, tell him I love the city of Guelph because Sleeman's beer is so delicious.
True. That's our brewery.
Thanks again.
Where's he from?
Gainesville, Florida.
Wow.
UF student.
And he knows about Sleeman Brewery. That's my hometown.
I believe he was the one. Yeah, I believe he was the one that asked if he should move out to Vegas to play professional poker, and you told him, "Hey, if you're doing well on the internet, you can hang around in Gainesville and do the Gator Chop or whatever it is they do there, and keep winning national championships."
Yeah, I don't think that. So I don't know. He's a college student, so maybe he's got a chance. I really don't think he could beat me in a drinking contest. But yeah, I've been training for a long time.
See, I don't know. I actually think that I could beat you because you kind of go, into a catatonic stage at some point. You can drink a lot, but I think if we just lined up shots, I think I would probably take you down.
I think it's just like the guy betting you, Sebok, on the air. I don't think Gavin should be taking drinking competitions. I think it's bad for the image of the circuit to be encouraging people who may or may not be of age to drink. I think that it's better if you don't drink until you're 21 years of age.
Sorry, Dad.
All right, to the circuit crew, past and present, myself and a few friends have listened to the circuit for some time now. Since we started listening and taking tips, we have won well in excess of $150,000 between the three of us. A lot of advice we have had to adapt for online play. However, we are all in the World Series of Poker main event this month, having won online satellite events. He goes on to say basically that one of his friends is actually leading the race. There's some sort of race on Full Tilt Poker where you race to see who can win the most seats. And if they win it, they're going to have the Full Tilt limo at their disposal 24 hours a day for 2 weeks when they get here at the World Series. And so we can go and hang out with them because we've given them so many tips.
Yeah, they always for that.
Awesome. I would love to come hang out in the Full Tilt limo.
Yeah. Sounds great. $150,000. That's pretty strong.
Sounds great.
So congratulations to all you guys.
Yeah, good job, guys.
So that one was signed England's finest. What do you guys think of that?
Well, I think it's amazing that they're willing to credit us with taking their game to the next level, and they're dominating. They're crushing apparently on Full Tilt. And even more amazing is that we have the possibility to glean a limousine ride and lots of fun partying with these guys while they're in town.
I don't know what glean means.
And I also think that just what is the limo going to get us really? What about 30% of the $150,000 for the fact that we come in here and work every night?
Yeah, I think we should chop it up.
Save the limo, give us the dough, boys.
Yeah, or you just send us 40 dimes and we'll chop it up.
I don't need it. I just won $500,000 last night.
Okay, I need it.
We'll be back with a guy who's making a race for some money here at the World Series, Marcel Luske, after this on the circuit.
Hi, I'm Howard Lederer, and here's my tip about playing pocket aces. While this is the strongest starting hand in poker, it can easily lose if you don't make your opponents pay to see the flop. For example, if you don't raise the blinds and the flop comes 7-6-6, you could have let a player hit trip sixes by giving them a cheap flop. Remember, it's better to win a small pot than lose a big one. To learn more about playing pocket aces, visit fulltiltpoker.com, where you can learn, chat, and play with the pros.
All right, our guest today is one of the most popular personalities in all of poker. His most recent big finish was a win in a no-limit event at the 5-Star World Poker Classic right here at Bellagio, taking home $315,000 in prize money. He is known as the Flying Dutchman, a member of the Circle of Outlaws. Marcel Luske, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
All right, well, how has this World Series of Poker gone for you so far? What's going on down there at the Rio?
I came here 3-4 days ago. I took it easy because I always have a jet lag lately. And I went to the gym, just taking it easy. I played the high-low yesterday, the first. So they knocked me out just before the money, which is good. So I get fresh and still warm from yesterday into the 5,000 event today. And it's going well.
Talk about a little bit about this 5,000 event. You're up there. You still in the top 10 in chips as of the last time we checked? I thought you were.
Yeah, I think it's the top 5 now. I
you're in the top
hands.
5. So why don't you talk a little bit about some of those hands that have gotten you to the point where you are right now?
Well, I played some investment hands under the gun, put a little bit pressure with 6-8 of heart. I get some callers because I just raised a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Sometimes you play these hands, and I flop perfect 4-5-7. I get three people in the hand for 900, and then I bet it out for 1,500 just to make sure somebody comes over the top or try to make it go. So they all paid, and then the turn card paired the board. So I moved it in just to make sure that if they have a good draw or they're winner, I'm going to pay anyway.
Right.
Otherwise, they have to pay me off. So that helps if you hit cards like this. It's better than to have ace-queen looking into somebody with king-queen, and then he hits a king on the turn. And it cost me 4,000 or something.
See, everyone always said that it was bad advice I was giving when I said just flop the nuts. Marcel Luske is here saying it's the same damn thing. You flop the nuts.
Well, I heard Marcel actually just saying that you said sometimes you play these hands like 6-8 of hearts.
So not all the time.
Sometimes with Gavin Smith, it's all the time you play these hands.
Well, Gavin is he knows how to try to play and outplay people, and he's doing a great job with it. He's a fantastic playing player on the table. It's not boring. He's always looking for the action in the hand. He's always trying to take advantage of his position or weakness from his opponent. I can read him clearly for what he's doing, and he's doing a great job. Another one is like Alan Goering or Dave Elliott, people like this. And there's nothing you can do.
And Marcel.
I like
plays a very similar style.
I like to grind the chips. But a lot of great players out there, I think most of them, they know how to do that, how to put the pressure and put people on the edge where people most likely fold their hands because they want to stay in the tournaments. And that's where you get most of the money, because random, we all get the same cards eventually.
Right. So when you say sometimes you play these hands like 6-8 of hearts, and you said were you playing it from under the gun, did you say?
Yes.
When do you make the decision to play these speculative hands, and how does it sort of...
It depends what happens before. If you feel like you won a pot before, you might get a run. You play, go with the flow. If you can afford it. If you cannot afford it, you have to play a different system. You're changing gears all the time according to the situation on the table and the players. So it depends who's in the hand, who's on the big blinds, what kind of players you have in there. And if it's really getting big antes, you watch them carefully when they watch their hands. If they're looking happy or they want to go for it, they sit straight, all these kind of body tells, of course.
Right. Well, the World Series is certainly a place where you made a big name for yourself here in the States, but you play a lot also in Europe. You always come back there. You were telling me at the Five Diamond I interviewed you, you said you would be back for the series, you would be playing a lot of the World Series events. Is the series just something special for you no matter where you're from? Is the World Series of Poker a big deal?
The World Series of Poker is the biggest deal out there. It's big, it's America. I mean, here you got a chance to do something which is good for the industry and do something that is good for yourself. If you're successful in America, people say great and they support you. If somewhere else, they look at you like, how come he's so successful? How can we run him down? You know, it's a different ball game in Europe than in America. So I love America, yes, of course.
And as far as your style as a poker player, how would you categorize that? I mean, we've seen you on TV a bit, but we all know that it's not really an indication of how someone plays, seeing select hands on television. How would you categorize yourself as a player, and what do you think you do well in poker?
First thing I do well, and I know that, is I don't fear nobody. I do respect some players for their games because they're taking chances and know what they're doing and know when to call, when to get in there. And I love to see Phil Ivey playing. I think he's the best all-around player out there for me. But that doesn't mean I fear him. I love to play with him on the table because it's educational and it helps you to clear your mind, sit on top of your toes and play your best game. So I rather play with a table with top players than with a table from people who I don't know and have to study them. And they have sometimes, they play hands, you don't know why they play the hands. There's no reason. And if they get lucky on you, it doesn't make sense. Then you feel sick because you cannot beat them because you're the better player, but you become unlucky. That's what I don't like in the game.
Exactly. It's kind of like when you play 6-8 of hearts under the gun.
You see, you have to see it like this. Sometimes the playing comes together. If I sit there with 22,000, I can afford to invest 900 under the gun to put the pressure on them and make use of my stack.
Right.
And if they don't fold it and I grind 1,000 or 1,100 from the antes and the blinds, and somebody calls, it's very unlikely somebody comes over the top against the chip leader on the table, unless they have a hand. So then I get a flop, and then I can always throw away.
Right.
But most of the time you don't get somebody to call you. If they're going to call, and if somebody calls you, maybe the big blind, you can outplay them. I mean, I do got experience enough to do that.
Oh, I'm just teasing you.
No, it's all right. But I just want to let you know how things might change in a hand.
Oh,
who's calling?
Of course.
I love the 6-8 of hearts.
I know you do.
Well, what do you two think about this? It's an interesting assertion saying that you would rather play against players who you know, but that may play a little bit better than some of the amateurs. Joe and Gavin, how do you feel about this when you sit down at the table? Do you want to, now that you've spent so much time on the tournament circuit, you've studied a lot of these players over and over again, I'm sure there's certain guys you can read like a book at this point that follow the tournament circuit around, but what would you rather have in the game?
I want to play against the 8 worst players in the tournament at my table.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I still want to play against knuckleheads because I mean, I want to play against the people that are going to make the most mistakes and put themselves in the most jeopardy. So, you know, if I'm playing to win the tournament, I agree with everything that Marcel's saying in terms of learning. I mean, it's always great to play with great players because you learn from them. But in order to win the money and actually to win the tournament, I would always play, would much rather play with the worst players.
It's a fun challenge, though. It is a fun challenge to play
It's the flip side.
It's a fun challenge to play against great players, but, I mean...
Well, I'm not out there to try to make it a personal thing. You know, you want to win a tournament. It's more like, you know where you stand if you have good players on the table. Then it's neither black or white, but with players you don't know how they react, and they estimate that Queen 9 is a good hand according to the value of the money, and they not according to the situation. Then, you know, everybody else would mug the hand very quick if there's somebody limping raising the re-raise, and they just still look at the money and say, well, you know, I might get lucky.
Right.
Because I might hit my queen. You know, they don't think about somebody might have queens, kings, or aces already.
Right.
And they look at it from a different perspective. And these people are unpredictable. And it's hard to read them in their mind for what they think is a good hand, their hand selection. With good players, you can read their hand selection. You can get them off aces after the flop.
Yes. I'm assuming it has to be the biggest problem in the main event of the World Series. I mean, you're looking at 8,000 people this year. Are there any specific adjustments that you are making, though, to counteract the fact that there are so many knuckleheads at your table? What is Marcel Luske doing? You know, what are you changing up in your game to try to counteract that? You can tell
I'm
us.
going to be nice and friendly and sing a little bit. I make a poker song, so I might as well sing it around a little bit. And then look at the people and try to grind whatever is there coming to me as a gift. Besides that, I have to play with a couple of hundred or maybe a few thousand good players out there.
Right.
Because don't forget, they learn quick in these days. They're playing like 5 or 10 tournaments a day online.
Absolutely.
And they're learning.
Well, it also helps they have guys like Marcel Luske mentoring them. Obviously, there's a couple of well-known mentees. A couple of well-known mentees, Noah Boken and David Williams, 2 guys that you've helped along the way, right? And what exactly? Why do you mentor players? Why have you made the decision to actually go ahead and help people to come up in the game?
I always like to help other people. Yeah, people who are supposed to help people. I don't mean in a bad way where I need to go work for somebody else because they're lazy. But if people really like to learn and know and they're honest and respectful, why shouldn't you help? It's good for the industry. If they understand how to play, it's a challenge. They're going to be fair because they want to win. And otherwise, you look at people who feel like they're stupid. They don't know what they do wrong, and they stop playing the game because they cannot win it. Well, they were coming back, so we might not have a big advantage on them because they study the game and they get better and better. But you are going to grow an industry that is maybe it was 10 million players for 20 years ago, and now it's 200 million players now. So, and if you're good and you're on the top, you have other things you can do in the poker industry, and you can make your money.
These 2 guys are my poker mentors right here, which kind of explains why I can't make any money playing the game, right, boys?
True. But you have a lot of fun.
Right, I do have a lot of fun. That's true.
You're sort of being torn in both ways. Joe's telling you to play really tight in the first levels. I'm telling you to play every hand, and you just don't know what to do.
But I found out tonight that Joe's lying to me, and he doesn't play that tight in first level. Do you think that mentoring also in any way helps your game?
Yeah, sure, you can adjust people just starting in the game because they have questions which occurs to be silly to your opinion because your level of thinking is different. But then it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is actually the level they're in, so you have to adjust your way of thinking because you cannot go all in with the hand because they call you down with their draw because they think like this.
Right.
So now you have to catch them where you know they're going to lay down the hand if you don't have a hand. You don't want to have a call where you have to have a showdown. Then you have to show a hand.
Very true.
So you're actually learning about the players who are at some of the lower echelon players that are stepping into the arena with all of you big boys now. You're learning a bit about them by teaching those lower level players. That's interesting. Well, we have a couple email questions here for you. This one is from Michael. It says, first of all, I really enjoy watching you play whenever you are on TV, and I respect you for being a true gentleman at the table. It says, how many events will you play this year at the World Series of Poker? What is your top 5 European poker players right now? And how do you feel about 70% of the events at this year's World Series being Hold'em events? So, 3-part question for you.
Go backwards from the last one. I do like to play like host tournament and Omaha and pot limit, high-low, 7-card stud. I think the whole poker should not restrict to Hold'em only, because out there the people are going to get bored eventually, and like the players are going for Omaha and exciting action games instead of holding and waiting, the audience is going to learn quick that there is not only Hold'em, and otherwise it get bored. So I definitely think they should bring other games in out there to learn and teach people. That's one thing. The other thing is, if you say the top 5 of the best players in Europe, I can think about giving names like my countryman Rob Hollink is very good. Dave Devil is not obvious. John Gale. You got Ura Hippie. And I could make a list of people that I say they're certainly very good basic players to be out there, which could win a tournament. But then I might leave out other names which are there who are good as well. So there's a long list, because now in these days it's not like there's only 3 or 5 good poker players.
Oh, of course. I'm sure there's a lot of players that you could name that we have never even heard of that are amazing players.
Yes, there are players who not even playing most likely the tournaments because they cannot be bothered with it, because they play in gas games and they make their money, and they're very good players. You understand?
Absolutely.
So suddenly they decide to play a tournament, they like it, and then they say, where is it coming from? You know, like they knew. No, they're not new. They played poker for 20 years already. They couldn't be bothered with it before.
So how about how many events will you play at this year's World Series?
I think something around 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't know how I get the chance, because if you getting deep into a tournament, it takes 3 days. You cannot play the other tournaments.
Right.
So now it's like play one tournament, try to get as far as possible, like today, the 5,000 one. Play 3 days. I hope to get to the final. And then I will play the next day, the 5,000 Omaha High Low, because I like that one. But otherwise, I have to skip one day because I like to play the Omaha High Low, and I cannot afford to play something else and be in there while the other one starts.
Right.
So it's a little bit tricky, but I do like to play as many events as possible, but then feeling good and not like exhausted.
Right. The next question is from Patrick. It says, my question is, can you be a winning player by never slow playing? For instance, if I raise pre-flop and flop a full house versus many opponents, should I slow play being an aggressive player or just bet it right out? Because I fear by checking I give away my hand since I was the pre-flop raiser. Can you be a winning player by never slow playing?
Well, never slow playing. You should have a little bit dynamic in your game where people cannot just adjust you on the way you play always the same. Right. You have to give it a little bit flexibility. I just told you about the 6-8 and I flopped the nuts and I bet it out like 1,500. It's a bet like maybe I have something. So I get paid by 3 people.
Right.
And then the turn card code is bad and I put it all in and one of them decides to call me, then I get paid or I lose the hand. But you have to make a decision how to play. And you cannot say, well, you know, this is the book and this is how I always play, because you play against different people, different moments, different kind of money. So it's a key situation to know how to adjust the situation at that time and not always play the same.
Right. And I was actually just going to add in, when I first started playing, the hardest thing for me to get used to was that there is never a static set answer in poker, ever. It doesn't exist. So, you know, when a lot of people pick up the game, they're always like, well, what should I do with ace-king in this situation? It's always fluid. It always changes. There's never any one thing you should do every single time.
So never and always should be words that aren't really in your poker vocabulary.
In a poker vocabulary, they really shouldn't exist.
No, you should be unpredictable.
Absolutely.
That's the best thing out there. You play poker with anybody, and they can't read you because they don't know what you're playing.
Right.
Then they're going to adjust their game because they don't want to play you on the flop, because they don't know where they stand and they don't want you to outplay them. So most of the time they're going to react or overreact to make a big re-raise to know where they are. So that gives you the advantage if you know that they're doing that. So you play this guy like this and give them the chance to make the big re-raise. But you have to know the people, because it's no use to do this guy and make a bet of 1,500, get a re-raise, and you can stand the re-raise because you don't have a hand to show.
Right.
But you have to know what's in their mind and how they would play you. It's a little bit psychology coming there.
Absolutely.
The better the player, the more he understands how you play, the better he try to figure out how to beat you up without having too much danger for himself. So he's going to make up his mind.
Yeah, everything is situational. Everything is always situational.
All right, we have a couple of phone calls here. Danny, why don't you play the first one?
Yeah, this is Andrew in Denton, and I have a quick question for Marcel. Is that really you on MySpace? Because there are some other guys on there that clearly aren't, like Chris Moneymaker and,
Gavin Smith.
Of course, Gavin Smith.
No,
so is that the real you?
No, I had, for a moment, somebody put me on there, and I haven't been on there, and I was looking. I cannot even find myself on MySpace because I'm very clumsy with the computer, but I don't know how to do my mails, and I got a business advisor in the United States, and I do have people in Holland and Europe working with me to build a normal corporation that functions, because I can see a lot of people trying to make money out of my name, and I don't even know what's going on.
I've made probably 500,000 off your name already.
That's all right. You're a nice guy.
Yeah, so that is not Marcel on MySpace. Say no to being his friend. Go ahead, next call.
Hi, my name is John Allman from Pittsburgh, PA, and I love the show. I listen to it every day on my iPod. I have a question for Marcel Luske.
Okay.
Marcel, do you ever find that your affability or fame causes people to soft play you, or your well-known pro, do you find that they gun for you more often? No. I was just wondering, because I usually like to chat it up at the table in order to get my players either get more involved with me or whatnot. Wondering how that works for you. Thanks.
No, I tell you, hand. I was in Aruba for 2 years ago, and I had a guy who wanted to play a hand with me. So he gave me the hand, and I raised it up on the big blind. And he still played the hand, and the flop came down like a king, 4 deuce, and I came out betting with ace jack, and he still called me. So I couldn't put him on a hand. I thought he must have a pair of 6s, 7s, you know. So the turn card came a 9, and I still came out betting, and he called me. And the river card came a queen. So now I couldn't bet anymore with my ace because it looked like he must have something there.
Right.
And I checked, he checked, and he showed me queen 7. So I looked at the hand, I said, nice hand. And I was frustrated for 1.5 hours or something because I couldn't see how he could call me after I raised, and then I bet it out on the flop. And then I find the answer in later when he told me that he wanted to play a hand with me till the end.
Regardless.
So, I mean, it does affect your game if people just say, oh, he's nice, or a nice guy, oh, yeah, I played a hand with me. And they don't care if I lose the hand, they play a hand with me. And I go like, wait a minute. Now I have to sort out, is this guy playing a hand or he just want to play a hand with me?
A new dimension to your game.
It's a new dimension to the game. And so I do a little bit of singing and talking and keep track with these kind of people who are out there. And they think it's great. And, yeah. I cannot blame them. For them, it's poker. It's a great thing. I think it's a great thing out there. And it's really social for everybody. But it's another dimension in the game with very popular players out there. And you get a lot in America. With all my respect for Howard Lederer, Danny on the ground, and Phil Ivey, Dodd Blons, and TJs. It's like they have to put up with this more, I think, than me. Because I just come in and stay 4, 5, 6 weeks and go out again. But they are here all the time, and it's growing.
All right, well, we have about a minute left here on. We want to let you get out of here, get back to that No Limit Hold'em event that you're crushing over there. Why don't you tell people out there what you have going on outside of poker, anything you'd like to tell everybody at home about?
Well, I should tell them about the poker song I made, and it's probably going to be in the air in a couple of days or weeks because it's all about, people know about it. And it was what they were asking last year when I had this talk with the young guy who died on cancer. And I was singing it to him on the phone. So I had something like, no matter what happened, I want it out there this year. And I will sing it, do it, bring it out. And if people like it, they understand why I did it.
And you're talking about Charlie.
Charlie, yes.
You're talking about Charlie Tuttle. Okay.
Yeah, Charlie Tuttle. So that was a very bad moment in the whole thing. A very good moment in one way, where you find that there's more in life than poker only. but it has an impact. Everything is just for a moment, glory and fame. And I was writing this song before, and I sung it to him, and I had something like, I want it out there. Right. And they stopped me in all kind of ways, and I don't think I do anything wrong to sing it, bring it out there, and let people know. And it's all about poker, what's happening today. Mm-hmm. So there cannot be nothing wrong with it.
You going to give us a copy?
Yeah, and I do sing it myself. And I try to make a video clip with it so people understand it better. It's fun. It's like from the old days till now.
Absolutely.
What's happening with older people, with younger people. And it's easy. You will hear it, catch it, and sing it.
Cool. All right. Anything else?
I do a lot of projects, yes. But I want to win a bracelet here in the World Series 2006. So I hope it works. I don't mind in which event.
You'll take any.
All right, we'll go grab one tonight. Thanks for coming by. We really appreciate it, Marcel.
Thanks, Marcel.
Marcel Luske, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, we here at the Circuit are excited to have Pacific Poker on board with the show, one of our new sponsors. If you're new to poker, why don't you check out Pacific Poker's free practice play version to get the hang of the game. If you're ready for the rush of playing for real money, Pacific Poker will start you off on the winning track with a guaranteed 25% bonus up to $100 on your first deposit. They feature a wide variety of table stakes, and poker tournaments never stop. The daily $10,000 tournament is among the internet's richest daily prize pools. At Pacific Poker, you can count on fast and friendly customer service, great bonuses, and thrilling events.
Hey, Frank, what's up? Where's everybody? We're in the bar, Joe.
Welcome back to the Circuit, everyone. We are broadcasting on Sports Byline Radio on Sirius Channel 122, on cardplayer.com, and on iTunes as a podcast. Right now, we are going to play for you a little advanced copy of Poker, 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 lyrics and vocals by one Marcel Luske. Have a listen.
No matter where you come from or even where you go, poker is the game they want to play. No matter how you say it or even how you play, poker is the game they want to play. You can check, you can match, you can call or you fold, you can bluff or you raise or raise. Play them out, hello, let them sweat when you go, but to cry when you lose all. Raise it up. Which how much is the raise? Did he call? Yeah. Why are you asking me? Pay attention. Do something useful. Hey, Bill. Hey, who? Bill. Did he raise? He wasn't even in the hand. I told you to pay attention to the game. Poker, poker, poker. Everyone plays poker. Nothing else but poker these days. No time wasting on spending. Oh, not a stock command. Poker, that is all we.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Circuit this evening. Thank you very much to our guest, Marcel Luske. Thanks to the boys here, Gavin Smith and Joe Sebok. We will be back tomorrow with Nam and Tuan Lee, and then on Friday, Roland DeWolf. Thanks for listening to the Circuit.
Later.